Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Sanaparatna. Grab your favorite drink, get two snacks, and we'll get started. Today I have my mango Ceylon tea that I'm completely obsessed with, and I made blonde brownies for an event yesterday, and I had 4 left. So guess what? One of them is for my snack today, and it's really funny because I used baking soda instead of what it called for, which is baking powder, and they are so much better than they've ever been. Thank you, Grandma, that I messed up your recipe. So let's get real. Have you ever been in the car and you get news or a text message or a call or see something on Facebook and you actually start crying out of relief? Yes, that was me just a few days ago. So if you drove by Panera and saw me in a blue car weeping, that was definitely out of joy and relief, not out of frustration. Or maybe a little frustration. I'm not sure. So let me rewind just a minute here. I have been struggling with my reclining couch for several years. We've done many things to try to fix it. I had lots of really great ideas of how this was going to work. None of them worked. Like I kept going like, Lord, what should I do? And he was like, gave me another creative idea. And it was quite a process and quite a journey for me that I really struggled with. I actually bought fabric to like staple new fabric on. Like I was going to reupholster it myself. Like there was a whole shenanigan going on. And honestly, none of it worked. It just ended up being dead end after dead end. In fact, it quite got comical for me because I was like, Lord, I just want to go and purchase a new couch. And he was like, no, you need to wait. And I spent a long time just waiting. And then I'd try something new and it wouldn't work. And God would say, just wait. And I have to tell you, just wait are some of our least favorite words. Like, I hate waiting in line. I just got back at the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. And when you walk in and there are 80 people in a room that really only holds 40, you know you're going to be waiting. And it's a frustrating thought. And that's what God did with my couch. Eventually, God really miraculously, we're in the middle of Summer of Miracles, and our Summer of Miracles has been so different than I ever thought it would be. I thought it would be like a financial thing, and God has just been supplying things left and right that we just never imagined and have really prayed for years, but just it's come in such strange ways. Someone actually gave us money for the couch, and I was so shocked. Like, I didn't even know how to even think or I was just so shocked. Anyway, when I opened up the envelope and I saw and they said, this is for your couch, and I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Well, I'm going to buy a couch, And so I was like, Lord, what do I do with this? Anyway, there was a lot of processing for me in that area because I just did not expect it to happen in any way, shape, or form. And so I went couch shopping, and I went by myself, which, maybe isn't your best option, but I went by myself couch shopping, and I found a couch that I really liked in the clearance section. Because that's where I always start. Let's just be real. Like, I walk in and they're like, oh, what are you here for? And I'm like, I'm here for a love seat. And they're like, oh, great. Here's a $3,000 love seat. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm looking for the clearance ones. Where are they? And I found this beautiful couch in the clearance section. And I sat down on it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. It was so comfortable. It was exactly the color I was looking for. Like, I couldn't even believe it. And so the sales guy comes over and he's like, now, have you seen the one that is not on clearance? And I was like, well, no, this one's good. And he was like, well, yeah, it is. It's good. But let me show you the other one. And so we walked over to the other one, and it wasn't nearly as beat up as the one in the clearance section, because the clearance section one was actually someone owned it for 3 years and then returned it because they had some kind of policy. What an amazing policy, right? And so, because it was kind of broken. And he was like, here's the other one. And he's like, I can get this one for you for $100 more because of the sale that was happening at that time. And I'm like, wait a minute, I have the $100 more. And it was exactly the same amount that someone gave us, with my squirrel money too, that I had saved. Exactly that. I ordered it, and I got in the car, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's over. It's over. Oh my, I have a couch coming." I set up the delivery date, like all was good, right? So the couch comes, and now I didn't think this all the way through. And you're like, "Jenny, this is such a long story about a couch," but you'll get there, I promise. I didn't think, "Oh, a couch that has been sat on by hundreds of people is going to be broken in." Mine's not broken in yet. It was very firm, and I cried. I was like, "What? This isn't the couch I ordered." And then I Googled it, and it takes 6 weeks for it to become like usable and all the materials to, like, I don't know, loosen up, whatever. I've never had a new couch before. I have no idea. I have no clue how this works. And so for several weeks, we actually had two couches, because one of the biggest problems we have is we do not have a truck. We have no way of getting rid of our other couch. And so I was so frustrated, because I'm like, no one will get it, because I put it up for free on Facebook Marketplace, and I got people that were like, "Hey, if you pay us $60, we'll take it away for you." I mean, it was not in good condition. No one even wanted it for free. Um, In fact, when we put it outside of our house, because we live in a really quiet little neighborhood that you see everybody that drives by. So if you drive by our house, I probably will see you, just so you know. And they would drive up, get out of the car, look at it, get back in the car, and drive away. Like, they were like, "We don't want this for free. It's not worth taking." So I called a recycling place in our area, and they're like, "Sure, we can come pick it up. It's going to be like $40. And I'm like, "Score, $40, absolutely, come pick up my sofa." And so that morning I got up, and I'm like, "Is it gone?" And my husband's like, "No, it's not gone." And I'm like, "We've had this couch forever, it feels like." We actually had my brother come over and help us get it out, because it was too heavy for me to lift. I was like, "I'm a weakling, I can't do this." Um, And all day I kept looking out, like, did they leave? Did they come? Did I miss it? It was just, I was like a cat on a hot tin roof. Like, it was so funny how nervous I was. And I went out that night with a girlfriend, came home at like 8:30 at night, and it is still outside my house. And I'm like, "Okay, Lord, I have waited, and I have, like, prayed about this couch, and now it's not even being picked up. I don't know what's going on." And I just felt a sense of, "Jenny, you have not trusted me this entire time, and I have taken care of it despite your trust." And so I called the next morning ready to fight. Like, I was ready to be like, "Hey, what do you mean you didn't pick up my couch?" Like, I wasn't going to do that, but I was ready, right? I was ready. And so I called, and I'm like, "Hey, you didn't pick up the couch. It was supposed to be picked up yesterday." And she was like, "Oh, it was marked as not available, not outside." And I'm like, "Well, it's too heavy for me to bring inside at night, so it was outside all day." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sure it was. They'll pick it up today." And I was like, "Okay, sure." She's like, "Just call me back if they don't, and we'll keep doing it until they pick it up." And I thought, now I am in for another roller coaster ride, where every morning I need to call and say, "Hey, could you put us on the roster to get picked up today? Hey, can you," and the disappointment of driving home, and your big, ugly, wonderful couch that lasted for so long is still there. And so I actually went out right after that phone call with my sister. And I'm sitting in Panera, and I got a text message from my husband about a half an hour after, saying the couch is gone. And I have to be honest with you, I had to read it 3 times. Because I was like, did he say the couch is gone? Is that what he's saying? Is that what he means by this text? I was so excited. I just burst into tears in Panera. And it was just like a fresh start. And I sat there and I cried and I praised the Lord for the process that he brought me through. And now I realize that this sounds super dumb, and you're like, it's a couch and Jenny's all emotional. But there are so many things in our life that we just don't We trust God, but we really don't. And we don't like the process that we walk through. And we're like, Lord, I want to do this. And he's like, no, wait. Lord, I want to do this. No, wait, that's not going to work. Just wait for me. I've got a plan. And I get so worked up and so excited about, oh, I found a new fix. I found a new way to do this. And God's like, Jenny, I have a plan. You just have to wait. And it's so hard. And that is the relief that I had. I had the relief of, okay, Lord, this is such a simple thing in our lives. It is just a piece of furniture. Lots of people sit on the floor around the world. It is not that big of a deal. But God was faithful and had a plan every step of the way, even to the point when I called the day to say, hey, you didn't pick up my couch. I got the friendliest lady I've ever had on the phone. She was just so sweet and so kind and like, oh, I'm sure you're frustrated. And I was like, I'm a little frustrated. It's okay. And she was like, oh, honey, I'd be mad. Just a sweetheart, that God was just so faithful in all those things. But I was constantly trying to change and fix it. And I just want to encourage you today that you may be looking at a circumstance or at a friendship or at a relationship or at a job, and you're like, Lord, why can't I quit? Why can't I do this next step? Why are you holding me back? And I want you to know that he's not holding you back because he's like, hey, you can't handle it. He is holding you back because he has a plan. He has a idea of how this is going to go. I could have definitely, and there's nothing wrong with going and buying a piece of furniture and they're like, we have free 3-year financing. It will cost you nothing. You could just take 3 years and pay it. That would have been perfectly fine, but that was not God's plan. God's plan was to bless us in ways that we didn't even imagine would happen. Like we had no idea what God would do in the midst of this couch situation. And now I'm currently sitting on the new couch, and I have to tell you, it is amazing. Every time I sit in it, I almost burst into tears because it reminds me of God's faithfulness and that God never leaves us and he never forsakes us and he never says, you know what, you've gone way too far for me to come back. And let me tell you, with this couch situation, I was about to reupholster a couch, and I do not sew. I borrowed a staple gun. Like, I was ready to do this. And God was like, Jenny, just wait. Can you just wait? And so I just pray that this reminder is that God is faithful. No matter if you're seeing the hands of God moving in that certain situation or not, God is, and he's faithful and just, and he loves you, and he's got a plan. And I just pray that as we move into the fall season here, things get really crazy, and all of a sudden you kind of turn on a switch and like your schedules get full and life gets busy and everybody starts going in different directions, and God doesn't. God is faithful. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He does not change. His plan does not change for you, even when your plan changes on a minute-by-minute basis. Well, you can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram, Facebook, and Be Real. You can also find me at christconnection.cc/Jen. I am hoping that you will find encouragement that God has little bits and pieces that are happening that you're not necessarily seeing, right? And that you know that no matter what your current circumstance looks like, God still has a glorious plan and a brand new couch for you too. Well, maybe not a literal couch, but you know what I mean. You all have a great week.